This anime was a bit strange to me. Like when I first watched the very first episode, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to expect out of it, but somehow it ended up hooking me after like the first episode, and I ended up watching the rest. So we're going to do a series during this month for Muscles and Magic. It's on Netflix. You can go watch it right now, and then you can come back and watch these reviews, or you can just watch these reviews and these takes that I give on it, because it's a little different from these other animes that I've watched beforehand. Like typically I'm not somebody that's going to watch like a comedic anime that was a little bit different, that has like these like big bright colorful words like this, but for something and some reason like this anime just ended up hooking me, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll watch it. And I think it was partially because of like just the absurdity of the anime. That was the big thing. It does give me a lot of like Harry Potter vibes, which I'm going to be talking about later in the series. But nonetheless, it's just something that's very magical and interesting, because in this world, you see that this guy, he's a buff dude, that he's just like lifting weights like nobody else's business. Whereas he's one of the people that does not have any sort of magical powers, where everybody else in the series has magical powers, where he's just a normal dude that just likes cream puffs. Like that's all it is. He's kind of dense. He's like a meathead, which if you ever go to the gym and you know the stereotypes of like people that go to the gym, they're just all meatheads. They're people that are like just interested in like only one thing, which is exactly what he's interested in. He's only interested in lifting weights, and I'm going to be talking about that more in the series as well too. So you can always subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single review of one of these episodes, because I'll be reviewing 12 of the episodes over the next 2 weeks basically. There's probably going to be some little things in between, but nonetheless, other than that, it's just interesting how this anime is, because a lot of this stuff is just so absurd. Like he doesn't know whether or not to push or pull a door. He ends up breaking the door off, and it's just very weird and unsettling to me, but he's very like kind of dense, I would say. Like he just doesn't have like the best memory or the best way of like viewing the world, so he ends up like trying to smash the door into the other door to try to get on, and then he ends up breaking the door, and it's like, well, that's strange. His grandpa, his pops, his dad basically told him never to go into town, but he's just like, I need to go into town because I need these cream puffs. So he ends up going down to town. He ends up talking with this one dude, breaks the coins within his own hand when he ends up squeezing them, because he's so like happy to be able to see it. There is this section too of this guy when he does look at the coins, and I guess this is his mark, but when I watched the anime the first time, which if you know anything about the anime, if not, like no worries, within this series, there's a person where like whenever you have magical abilities, you have some sort of mark, and I was expecting like a bigger mark, but all his little mark is right there, and that's maybe why he's more of like a baker compared to something else. But then he just ends up bringing the coins back to normal, and he's like, hold on, how does that work? That doesn't make any sense. His hood ends up coming off. Everybody knows that he doesn't have a mark on his face, even though like if you look at some of these other people, I don't see a mark on her face. Like there's a mark there, there's a mark there, there's a mark there, there's a mark there, there's a mark there. So there are a couple of different marks that they do have all over the place, and that's where like the Magic Society ends up coming in. This dude we end up seeing a little bit later, which I didn't even notice that, but he comes into play in later episodes. And this guy is one of the capital. This is actually the man right here, which ended up getting me to want to watch the series a bit more, because I was like, this is just a fucking joke. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. He ends up running into this one dude. He gets cream on his shirt. He's all drunk and all over the place, which this is one of those other things that I was like, I don't want to watch this because it's too obnoxious. It's too strange. It's too weird. But I ended up giving it a chance, and it did start to build on me. So like if you do end up watching this anime more than episode 1, like just give it a chance. And I know some people say that with a lot of different things, but like that's something that I would highly recommend, is if you want to watch this, just give it a little bit of time, because like this stuff too, like for me, this is just too much. But I ended up like still giving it a try, testing it out, seeing if it worked. And then when his dad comes in and grabs him, they end up running. This will be a chance for me to get a little like type of way. He feels so bad for what he ended up doing here, and he feels ashamed, and his grandpa's like, or his dad is like, I can't stay mad at him, so he doesn't do that. He tells him to go train and do his work. She goes and does that. The magical wizards, the police ended up coming through. He ends up like banging through this whole different set. Like the dude's just built different, you guys. Like look at this shit. Like he's just built different. Like the scroll's even freaking out. But that's what I'm saying. Like these are things that I myself don't necessarily want to watch, but for some odd reason, the whole series was just great, because there would be a couple of scenes where, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but like just things like that where he just does that, and it's kind of like surprising and interesting. The way that they approached the series was really new and unique for me. It was a way that I never really had expected them to approach it in, but it was pretty chill, because he doesn't have powers, whereas like everybody else does have powers, and this is the first thing where you end up seeing that. He ends up telling his dad and the police guy he's trying to kill him, all these other different things. He's like telling his son to run, because he was also scolded and shamed for not being good enough, which if you ever have those said feelings, that you aren't good enough. Let me just be the first to tell you, you are good enough. Like, you can do these things, and sometimes you don't know what's necessarily going to happen in your life, but there's always going to be something good that does end up coming from the life that you do live right now. And that's why, like, when he's about to jump and end himself, which, don't ever take a faceplant or dive into the pavement. Like, that's just my way of saying this to you, is like, you are worthy of whatever it is that you want to have in your life. Just end up going out in there, trying it, testing it, seeing what does work, seeing what doesn't work, and then going forward from there. And maybe something like this will happen. Maybe when you're about to go down this route, the baby will end up crying because he doesn't want to lose this said person that's meant to do something great because he has no mark. And in the society, that's where we're talking about, like, if you don't have a mark, you don't have magic powers, so you'll be abandoned, which is kind of a messed up story to see. But like, maybe that's what you feel in your own personal life right now, is like, you feel like you aren't worthy of the success that you have because you weren't born in the way that you need to be born in, or whatever it is that you have going on in your life. So you try to take it out on other people that are angry and upset for you. And that's why when like the strong dude Marsh ends up coming in, smashing the dude right in the face, ripping off the guy's clothes again, slapping him all over the place. It's like, why didn't you run, Marsh? And it's like, it's because your family, you're all I've got. So they end up staying selfish. He's just like, I'm going to take you down right here. This pose, you guys, as well, too. This comes into a crucial factor later in the series if you watch it. If not, then no worries. But this dude, he's so smug. Like, and this is what I love about like these types of animes, when like the underdog is so like people don't support him, or they don't think that he's worthy enough, but then he does end up becoming worthy because he is worthy. Like, he is capable to have any amount of success that he wants to have, even if he doesn't have the powers, quote unquote powers, that everybody else has. And that's why the other officer is so happy. He's like, that's the power that ended up driving the dragon away, that he ended up using. And all he does is he's just like, boop. And he's like, wait, what? How is he still there? And all he did was he just like flicked the magic. Like, he's like, he can't just like do that type of thing. And this was the joke that I was talking about. I'm like, he ends up like using all this magic power, and all he does is he just like swats it away like nothing. He ends up slowing it down, juggling, using soccer, like just making a fool or mockery of the guy. Ends up through the whole power. He's like, oh, is he actually going to use magic? And it's like, nope, I'm just going to throw this and like smash you up. And she's like, wait, hold on. How is this even possible? This shouldn't be possible. But like, this is the stuff that I say, like, this is too much for me personally. But like the story and the concept of it, like, made it better. Even when I was watching the anime last night, it was one of those things where I was just like, this is interesting. Why is this interesting? Because I always seem to watch these like serious animes, these like in-depth animes, because like if I'm going to watch a comedy, I'd rather watch like a live action or like a movie or something along those lines. But this was like one of the first anime comedies that I did watch, and it was pretty good. It was very interesting. So like, if you're also new to watching anime comedies and you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit out there, a little bit strange, a little bit just like odd in a sense, because you just want something new, then yeah, I'd recommend you go watch like episode 1 of this and see if it hooks you, and at least give it like up to like episode 3 or 4, which I'll be talking about that in the next video. So if you made it to the end of this video and you want to watch my review of the remaining 11 episodes, just click that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below of your thoughts on the anime. Was it too much? Was it not too much? If it was, how come? If it wasn't, how come? Like, and just let me know. Like, I'd love to have the discussion with you down below. And with that being said, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. So thank you for watching.